It is the show that shakes the Southland Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan hanging out with you on a Friday afternoon, and we're excited to be joined by Clemson women's basketball head coach Amanda Butler. It's been far too long, Coach. Welcome in, and I certainly hope you're doing well.
Doing great, Lawton. I missed you. I'm so glad to be back on.
Well, I'm excited about the direction of this basketball team. I'll say this. When I was in school, right, I started in 1995, and you can make an argument in the history of Clemson women's basketball, that 1995 class with Tora Umo Coleman and the girls that were around her. I mean, they were some of the best that Clemson's ever seen, but you've just gone out and hauled in a couple of really good recruits the past couple of seasons. But my question to you is this. You did the job at Florida. You get up to Clemson, you got to rebuild it. I mean, the effort and the energy that you have to put in just to get to these moments might be things that people kind of miss. What has that been like for you to really transition this program the way you have?
Well, the first thing is I just have a tremendous staff, and I've been very blessed to have a lot of continuity in my staff. Daniel Barber and Joy Smith have been with me here the whole time as assistant coaches, and that really, really helps because, as everybody knows, it is well documented. We've had some very unique challenges that have changed college athletics forever. So the job that I was blessed to receive 5 seasons ago and the job that we're doing now, they're very different. And so when you take on, transfer portal, NIL is invented, and then in the middle of that, you throw in, a global pandemic. It has been a very memorable challenge. I think it makes it, that much sweeter when you start to see some of the fruits of your labor, in particular my assistant coaches that recruit so hard. Still very much a work in progress, but we love the direction we're heading.
The other thing, too, that I think has possibly been a little bit of a catalyst, and I don't want to take anything away from any, coaching staff on campus, but it's an athletic department. And we see great success right now for the men's soccer team. We see great success for the women's soccer team. We're starting to see more success for baseball and men's basketball and now women's basketball. And certainly a part of that has to come from the name, image, and likeness recognition of Clemson University. I mean, what has that been like for you guys to be there in the midst of football having such a huge run, and yet people know who Clemson is and that Paul and what it stands for?
Yeah, the power of the Paul is certainly a national phenomenon, and it's a brand that definitely, when we give a kid a call or a coach a call for the first time, they're already familiar with Clemson because of some of the success and in the other programs, and certainly the things that football has done, because that's been, just so publicized and so huge over the past 6-8 year window. But there's no doubt about it. It's a brand that is recognizable. And then the thing that's really awesome too, Lawton, is then, you get to know someone, and then you still get to surprise them with things that a lot of people don't know about Clemson, the academic reputation.
True.
Having year in and year out, in the Princeton Review, being ranked the happiest students in the country, and statistics like that just don't lie and really indicate what's at the heart of Clemson. So, there's the power of the Paul as it relates to the athletic department, but the whole university, I think, you just really are buoyed by all that it means to be a Clemson Tiger.
Again, Clemson women's head coach Amanda Butler hanging out with us here on the program today. They'll take on Charleston Southern this evening at Little John Coliseum, open the year with a 71-41 victory over the Winthrop Eagles. And, when I was at Little John Coliseum, it was in the old configuration. I like the new configuration as well. But you guys do a lot of great things. Like you had Education Day for that Winthrop game, getting a lot of kids in there, getting people involved in the game, which I know whether they're male or females, young, growing up, playing the sport, I know it's a sport that you love. Talk to us a little bit about some of the things that you guys have coming up to kind of drive attendance and push people into Little John Coliseum to support you guys.
Well, hopefully, that Education Day, and we had over 5,000 people in here, and certainly
Wow.
A lot of them were elementary age kids. But getting those kids excited, like you said, whether they're girls or boys, it's irrelevant. Catching the fever of how exciting it was to be in the building and DJ Shea and the band and the Spirit Squads, and then certainly just the quality of the game and the level of basketball that we feel like that Team 49 is playing. Those are all things I think to build momentum. And then specifically tonight, the first 250 people that walk through the door are going to get a Hiblaw T-shirt, and Hiblaw is one of our cultural pillars, if you will, and that's an acronym for Handle Your Business Like a Woman. And
Nice.
and that's something that we're trying to model and empower young girls and women with, throughout this our area and certainly our fan base. So a lot of good things. Our marketing department does a great job. Like I said, that environment inside the arena is so fun. And and our games are, I'd like to categorize them as rowdy, and I think everybody wants to be able to be loud, get behind their team, yell and scream, and enjoy the band. And like I said, DJ Shea does a fantastic job keeping the crowd fired up. But at the end of the day, the quality of the game, the level of competition, the level of basketball that this team is playing is worth the price of admission.
It's interesting you bring that up, because for years when I was in school, my sister and her family had season tickets to the men's games, and then she had two granddaughters, and she took them up last season to watch you guys play. And she said, let me tell you, that was the most fun I've had playing. And I know the last time you and I talked, one of the things that I think people who maybe haven't been to a women's game will appreciate is the play. And for years, I think the men's game is actually catching up a little bit in terms of their passing the ball and finding open players. But I've always loved the way the women spread the court and move the basketball. Talk to us a little bit about the scheme that you guys utilize to get girls open to knock down threes and open up the court. But what that game has been like for you coaching it as well.
Well, we play a really dynamic, fast style of basketball. We really like to get up and down. We do utilize the three ball quite a bit. And I think a lot of people for years said, we enjoy the fundamental aspects of women's basketball that seem to be more apparent in some people's view of the women's game versus the men's game. I don't know if that's 100% true, but, our game has just really, really evolved and is being played a lot closer to the rim than it's ever been. There's a tremendous amount of size and athleticism without losing that fundamental essence that I think the basketball purist really, really loves, the passing, good fundamental sound defense, communication, screening, angles, and just the spirit and energy that I think that you get to really experience up close and personal, because all of our seats in Little John, except for our courtside seats, it's general admission. So you get there early, you can be sitting right behind the bench. You get there early, you can be sitting in a padded chair back with a great view of everything that's going on. So there's a lot to be held, to be beheld in today's game, and in particular in this year's team. But then the opportunity just for a quality experience, whether you're a family, whether you're retired, whether you're somebody who's looking for something fun to do on a Friday night before or after dinner or happy hour. Hey, we're the answer. Come check us out, and you'll be glad you did.
Clemson women's head basketball coach Amanda Butler with us. You can follow the program on Twitter at Clemson WBB. And we're in the name, image, and likeness era of college sports, which is still weird. And I think the transfer portal and all that, fans are trying to, kind of grasp it, just like coaches and maybe even players are. But you guys have had a couple of really good recruiting classes, but most notably last season, you brought in Ruby Whitehorn, who was a sophomore this year. But then the other day, you get that signing class with Amari Berry, who's a 5-star, one of the top players in the country. I think ESPN had her ranked 7th or 8th at one point. And man, I'll tell you, to compete in not only the ACC, but nationally, you got to have girls that can play like that. Give us some insight into the dynamics that Ruby certainly brings to the team this year, and then what you'll get with Amari next season.
Yeah, Ruby was the first McDonald's All-American in the history of the program, and I think really made that bold choice. She saw what was happening at Clemson and wanted to be a part of it. Just that level of talent that could go anywhere and play, but is really interested in charting her own course. Of creating her own history and not going the well-worn path. For the top 10 recruit, and then. Then it makes it easier for the next kid, and that is Amari Berry in this year's class. Signed her and Morgan Miller on Wednesday. Outstanding kids, fit the Clemson mold of a human being, the people that are drawn to where we are and all the things that make up, Clemson University. But Amari Berry could have played anywhere in the country. And, Joy Smith did a great job in leading us in the recruiting of her, but she's a relationship kid. She wanted a place that felt like home, and she wanted to create history. She wanted to go to a place that doesn't have a Final Four banner yet and be the reason why one's hung. So we're really excited about the level of talent that she brings, but also just love her heart, love her heart and love the things that really inspire her, because it really aligns with who we are, and that we're trying to love each other, to championships. There's a level of talent that it requires, but there's undeniably a level of connection and loving each other well as teammates and as coworkers, and just all the different things that we go through. And so we're really excited about where we're at right now and what the future will hold with Amari being a huge part of that.
Well, and speaking of another Amari, spelled a little bit different, but Amari Robinson, a grad student, who's obviously got a ton of experience and a great player for you guys. I think scored 22 points in the opener. Leadership and accountability for those young ladies that certainly begins at the top with the older, the old hats, as they call them, I guess you'd say. Give us some insight into her play and what she'll bring you this year on the court.
I think it can't go without saying just all the special parts of Amari besides points and rebounds. In the era of having an extra year of basketball, the COVID year, and name, image, likeness, and transfer portal. Amari is a kid that came here and chose Clemson in our very first recruiting class and has been here for 5 years. And she's never wavered as we've been building. And everybody likes to talk about the ups, but there's always the downs and there's always the challenges. And she's been a picture of consistency, of loyalty, and then absolute eliteness as it relates to her play. She was second team All ACC last year. She was an All ACC freshman her first year with us. And she's just a freaking treasure. She's getting her master's in special education. She's doing student teaching during the day. She's got a full-time job that you understand, Lawton. And then she comes and practices and plays her tail off every day too, and leads. And she's just a great woman, and it's been a privilege to be part of her journey. And I'm really, really excited to see what all this year holds for her. But she does it all. You will fall in love with Amari Robinson. She's number 5. She shoots 3. She led the country for a while last year, getting herself to the free throw line. You just kind of look around sometimes and go, is there anything she can't do? And so far the answer is no, there isn't anything she can't do. So she's an awesome person. We're really glad she's a Tiger.
Yeah, I tell you what, I was looking over the roster earlier today, and I kind of mentioned to you about the paw and all that. I mean, you got players from all over the country, and I think that's certainly not just indicative of Clemson's success, but people that want to come play for you and knowing the success that you've had in your career. But give us some insight into, what it's like as a head coach to, go in and sell a program that is on the rise to these young ladies and to get them to say, hey, you know what, this is where I want to be.
Well, the thing that we really try to draw people in with is 2 things. And the first, we consider that our who factor. Who are we and who are you? And where is their alignment in your who factor? And those are things that are happening at your heart level. Talent, there's a certain level of talent that always has to be there. But who you are is what's really, really important to us. And who we are, we think, is going to really draw the right people to what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. And then secondly, I've already mentioned it, there's great tradition here from your era when, you mentioned Toro and the folks that were playing back in the 90s. Those women hung some banners and did some great things, but there's a lot of history ahead of us. We haven't been to a Final Four yet, haven't won a national championship yet. And I'm going to emphasize the yet. And there's parts of that are really appealing to the right people. There's nothing wrong with the top-notch recruit who wants to go and join something that's already at full steam and maybe last year's national champion or someone who's won a couple in the last 5 years. But I think it takes a really special, courageous, bold, confident person who says, I'm going to go and be the reason it happens for the first time. And that's what the opportunity is at Clemson, an environment where we really try to wrap them in love and celebrate each other through trust, loyalty, and commitment. There's just a lot of good things going on here, a lot of great energy. And nothing great's ever accomplished alone. So everybody that's listening, we need you. We need you to show up. We need you to buy season tickets. We need you to be part of this journey with us and help us make Little John the toughest place in the country to play ball.
Again, 7 o'clock tonight. They'll take on Charleston Southern, and then on Sunday, a matchup at home against Mercer at 2 o'clock. So 7 tonight, 2 o'clock on Sunday. That's Amanda Butler, the Clemson women's head basketball coach, with us here on the program today. And then, of course, you'll face the South Carolina Gamecocks on November the 16th down here in Columbia on a Thursday. And I guess my other question would be, just from that standpoint, when your rival has had the type of success that South Carolina has had, there's the old saying, I think you talk about it a lot, not necessarily you, but coaches will talk about it a lot, kind of iron sharpening iron, if you will. What has it kind of meant for you guys to have a rivalry with a program that's been at or near the top of college basketball for so long?
Well, it certainly brings challenges, there's no doubt. But I think it's really shown a bright light on our state and, what girls basketball looks like in our area and what the opportunities can be, if you choose to stay home and, if you choose to take the unpopular route, if you will, because certainly they've had tremendous success. We've got a lot of respect for what they've done. But a lot of that success came from local talent and from kids that could have gone to the hype program at the time and they chose to stay home. But I think any of the college rivalries, man, it's one of the things that makes college sports so special.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to be part of those. I got to play in those as a player, and I've been able to coach in those and the other universities that have allowed me to be their head coach. And this one's special too. And we always look forward to those challenges.
Well, Coach, listen, we appreciate you sharing in the story of Clemson's women's basketball team as you guys get the season rolling. And best of luck to you this weekend with a couple of matchups, and then certainly next Thursday as you get ready to take on the South Carolina Gamecocks.
We play tonight at 7, and that's all I'm thinking about right now, buddy. And but I appreciate the shout out, no question. We're excited about it. Every game when we get to wear our uniforms, and the next one is tonight at 7, and we're going to handle our business like women.
Good luck with all of them, Coach, and spoken like a true coach. I love it. Amanda Butler, the head women's basketball coach for your Clemson Tigers. Coach, we'll talk to you real soon.
Sounds good. Go Tigers.